Hello there. Long time no see. What we have going on right now is the finale of my critical reading of the Satanic Bible right in time for Halloween, because I really want to get it back to my pal. My candelabra has been fussy to work with lately, so I've got something a little bit unconventional going on right here. I've got my gold candle, a scent that I really enjoy, a gift from a friend that I'm only lighting under special circumstances, and this whole mess. There's a story there. I have a new job and I had to get wrenches of several sizes. Aside from a new job, I have a new apartment, which I'm working on my Halloween costume. It's spread all over the place at the moment. This is more relaxed. I didn't really do anything, I'm not sure how well you can see. Didn't really do anything special for a costume here. Unlike my prior readings, I just want to get this done in time. I'm curious to see how the thumbnail's going to turn out this time. Every time it just happens to end fantastically. Alright, let's see if I can set this up so that I'm properly visible. Oh good, I can see what the camera sees in the video. Black. I know I've got a little bit of neck in there. I gotta move this candle so I can see what the camera sees. And I can slide this here flashlight. This is some top class cinematography, if you don't mind me saying. There we go. Am I in the shot? This is mostly an audio thing anyway. Alright, I think I am in the shot. I'm also prepared with a couple of cups of tea. You know, Bigelow Oolong isn't too bad. It's hard to go wrong with oolong. Although I'm still partial to some light Fuji. Also, I got a new chalice. The one that I made and I just painted, I have no idea where it is. Hopefully I find it soon. But this one, I picked it out because A, I just would like a chalice in my home for when I feel like a drink. And B, these stickers on it, the pentacles, personally, I think they're way overdoing it. Let's see. This one's the satanic one. I think that is really overdoing it, but thankfully they're stickers. And also, for my Halloween costume that I'm going to be making between today and tomorrow, I'm going as Andre Alphys, the peacock demon. Also, ruler of chemistry and some other interesting things. I just know he's the peacock guy. And that his associated tarot is the Five of Pentacles. I've got it here reversed and unreversed. Am I in the shot? I think I am. All right. But yeah, I'll take those off after Halloween's done. All right, let's get into it. Last time the book of Belial, I think it was. Yeah. 6 key. 9 key. We are on, yes, the book of Leviathan. And you'll hear me talk, well, you may have heard me talk. I honestly forget half of what I've said in these recordings. But the Leviathan, I know they're from the final proclamation, like Apocalypse. They're from the book of the Apocalypse in the Christian Bible. I'm not sure if that's their origination, but them being a sea monster, I mostly know them as the Hobbesian symbol for this state. And I look forward to the day when we soon get to slay the Leviathan. I did a quick look through. This looks like there's a lot to go. However, the spacing here is it borders on a waste of paper, in my opinion. And also, half of it is in a revival of the Enochian language. He gets more into it in the preamble. I'm not sure. The opening segment of this book. He's just reconstructed some language with the help of some friends or associates, I'm sure. All right. So I probably won't have much commentary to add. It's just the actual reading of the ritual itself. I'm not going to be doing the whole la-di-da. This isn't going to be a performance of a ritual. I haven't got a new lady here to bang a gong over. Oh yeah, that's something. I was talking to my new roommate, who is a woman, and about how it was kind of funny how they say that the woman is the inherent receiver in the relationship. And my mindset was about the dominant and submissive role in sex, which honestly isn't a normal thing anyway. It's not like there has to be a dominant and submissive, and I mean that's how I prefer it personally, but that's where my mind was. And she was like, no, like no matter how you look at it, as the person with the womb, the woman is the receiver, and that's not to say that they are lesser, but they are built as beings with containers for life. And in that sense, I have to agree. I really like my roommate. All right. Despite all non-verbalists' protests to the contrary, soaring heights of emotional ecstasy or raging pangs of anguish can be attained through verbal communication. If the magical ceremony is to employ all sensory awareness, then the proper sounds must be invoked. It is certainly true that actions speak louder than words, but words become as monuments to thoughts. I think I have said it better myself in the past. I'm not going to put myself to that right now, but 100% agree. Just in general, the universe being a vibration, and your thought, your personhood, well, if you are your memories and your body, the you that is acting is just a vibration of those things. And then when you take in I'm at a bit of a loss for words today, but I have another sip of tea. Marvelous. So, in terms of the smallest particles that we know of, the ones that mess around with time in a funky way, or I should say that they move through time in a funky way, in that when the universe splits, we're able to determine how we go based on their probability field and all of that. What's it called? Theoretical physics. No, that's still not the word I'm looking for, but it's part of theoretical physics. The prevailing scientific opinion about how universes are created and spread apart, and that the power associated with the universe has to do with its probability, that we still live in a deterministic world, but what has been determined is not A or B. What has been determined is A and B. Perhaps the most noticeable shortcoming in the painted magical conjurations of the past is the lack of emotion developed upon the reciting of them. Oh, there's my roommate. An old wizard known to the author, who was once employing a self-composed invocation of great personal meaning in the light of his magical desires, ran out of words just as his ritual was moments short of its successful culmination. Aware of the necessity of keeping his emotional response generating, he quickly ad-libbed the first emotion-provoking words that came to mind. A few stanzas of a poem by Rudyard Kipling. Someone I gotta look up, apparently. I know I've read his stuff before. Thus, with this final burst of glory-charged adrenaline, he was able to finalize an effective working. And by the definitions of this book, an effective working would be just successful self-hypnosis or the use of mantra. Like, that's what mantra is at a base level. Like, contemplating the meaning of Om, saying it until it's the only sound that there is, that becoming the breath and all that. I mean, it is partly just a meditation aid. Oh yeah, it was a great relief recently, remembering I had put too much stock in the void. It's important to remember that void itself is void. There's no grasping, there's only falling. And when everything's falling, everything is still. Who the hell is going to watch these? Anyway. The invocations which follow are designed to serve as proclamations of certainty, not whining apprehension. For this reason, they are devoid of shallow offerings up and hollow charities. Leviathan, the great dragon from the watery abyss, which we will kill, roars forth as the surging sea, and these invocations are his tribunals. Okay. Got tribunals confused with tribulations in my head. Invocation to Satan. In nomine de nostri Satanas Luciferi excelsi. In the name of Satan, ruler of the earth, the king of the world, I command the forces of darkness to bestow their infernal power upon me. Open wide the gates of hell and come forth from the abyss to grant me as your brother, sister, and friend. Grant me the indulgences of which I speak. I have taken thy name as a part of myself. I live as the beasts of the field, rejoicing in the fleshly life. I favor the just and curse the rotten. By the gods of the pit I command that these kings of which I shall speak shall come to pass. Come forth and answer your names by manifesting my desires. Oh, hear the names. And it just goes over the infernal names from prior chapter. And just in terms of demonology, about how a lot of demons or devils are gods appropriated by other cultures into becoming something evil. I'm not going to go over that again, but there's a lot of names that he calls in here that are like lesser deities in older religions, and also gods that are still worshipped today in certain parts of the world, and that's kind of sad. But since the purpose of this is for hypnosis and like calling forth and strengthening your belief so that it's manifestation, and that actually goes into two more things I want to bring up. I do believe it's taken a while, but ups and downs in the power of manifestation. Not because I'll just give my explanation. What happens can stray one way or another, but we can influence the probability by influencing the elemental world. I can't just say particle world, because really particle is such a flimsy term. The elemental particle world, elementary particle, there we go. And by getting these feedback loops of thought in our head, then we can, at least in some way, navigate the path in that sense. I've had out-of-body experiences, I should say, multiple minds and body experiences with gods and devils and all the rest. It's complicated, but I'll just settle with gods and devils for now. And that insight is that there are other elements to manifestation and being able to traverse the fifth dimension, aka sideways time, between parallel worlds. Not to say like distantly other worlds, other universes, I should say, because there's what's happening inside this particular Big Bang, and then there are other Big Bangs with different different universal constants. Now, that, however, I completely admit that these could just be marijuana, drug fueled delusions. But since I'm putting this forth as speculation, and that I'm going to look at scientific consensus and scientific tests to form my worldview before anything that is at the moment untestable, though I'd like to figure something out in that regard. Just a thought. Hey, it doesn't contradict anything that science has said, and it isn't going to lead to any noticeable harm in the people around us. In fact, I feel like if people believed this thing, which is untestable, or put stock in this untestable idea of how the universe works, ontology, then people would care for each other more, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many gods and devils. Oh yeah, and the other thing, once again, he's putting the fleshly world, the elemental world, above the world of thought, above the world of spirit. And I don't like that. I don't like this symbol, which is the four Grecian elements, earth, air, water, fire, above spirit. Although even then, I'll get into that later. Or the Wiccan use of the pentacle, which is spirit above the other four. And I gotta say, no. At least from my experience, all are equal parts of the universe, the whole, and are nothing, and trying to put one above the other is silly. I think that, I know that, joy in and of itself, well, no, two things. Peace and joy is what we look for in this life. Peace from recognizing the completion of everything, and joy from personal satisfaction. And that also ties into self-respect, which doesn't come from achievement, but comes from pushing yourself forward and challenging your limits. If you can say you fought, then you can say that you have respect. And that's why you can have respect for people who are trying to achieve that which is lesser and more, and also even have respect for those who are not challenging their path, because in that way they're broken. I mean, you can have more respect for somebody who's learned to take on the challenges and surpass them and taken on greater challenges, but that's not to say that anyone's fight is less valid. A flower blowing in the wind or a jet plane hurtling through the sky, they're both doing amazing things, beautiful things. And then there's the whole idea of the act of doing. Like, what is... It's... You can't create. Flight is something that happens as a result of how we move and how it's a process, and... It's not a characteristic of an object that something has flight. It can only have the ability to be flying, if you catch my drift. Tying back to that point earlier about how everything is nothing and it's just shaking itself up in a way. Or really, it's shaken itself up. Past tense. We live in a dead world. Our experience of this present moment is based on a memory that is untestable, because any test that we take will also be part of the present moment. It's the world was born again last Tuesday hypothesis, which is untestable, but just because something is untestable, well, I don't know. I'd have to review the scientific tenets on that, but we certainly can't put any stock into it because it's untestable. We have to rely on what we can touch, because we are beings of touch. Or is touch a part of us? That we are the vehicles that allow touch to exist and we're just here for touch to move through us, or vice versa, or are we all the same? And that's what I was saying about joy. That is the value of life. That is inescapable, whether you have more of it or less of it. Even if you have a negative amount of joy, misery, that is an emotional recognizing that, because it was cognized before, of the universe that is inherently sacred and must be protected. What's it called? Let me take another sip of this and just finish off the mug. In terms of, that's what's provable, that's what's testable, and that's what we have to go off of. That's, in a way, I don't want to say above, that's what makes humans special. I believe that there are lots of creatures that can feel joy, but they don't have a recognition of joy. But does that make the joy less valuable just because they don't know they have it? Absolutely not. In fact, that makes them more efficient, because in a way, our ability to recognize and see the dead world through our memories and even our recognizing of the present moment puts us at a spiritual disadvantage in terms of recognizing the void. Yeah, I think I made all the points I wanted to make. All the infernal names. This time, they are listed in alphabetical order as a way to quickly refer to them. Also part of this note, when calling the names, all of them may be recited, or a given number of those most significant to the respective working may be chosen. Whether all or some of the names are called, they must be taken out of the originally organized form in which they are listed here and arranged in a phonetically effective manner. Yeah, it's the whole thing with church music and the way that they're able to create a mob mentality through chanting and singing and all the rest. It's been widely studied that a lot of the times our physiological responses are able to control our emotional responses, and vice versa. Like, if you can get somebody's heart to speed up by like physically moving their heart, then they will become anxious. Although, I don't know, I'd get anxious if someone was sticking their hands in my body. Stuff like that. Or giving somebody a migraine, will make them angry and all the rest. You'd have to look into the research yourself about how it was studied, but I take it on good faith. Because really, we don't have time to look at every single thing. And I believe that the human body can be tricked that way. Something that is widely tested that I can explain properly is the way that our emotional health is tied so closely to the health of our small and large intestines and the toxins, although toxins get a bad rap, some toxins are actually beneficial and necessary to the body, including mercury. The chemical makeup in our gut has strong effects over our general mood. You can make somebody like clinically depressed by messing around with their gut health, and that's another reason why healthy eating is so important. And I don't want to get into this. I'm going to say this. Before listening to any fad diet, before listening to this is what's really good for you, this is what makes the body work, I highly recommend just reading up, generally speaking, about cellular biology and everything. Because I can say that a cleanse is going to be good for some people and a terrible idea for some people. And how you cleanse and what you cleanse with, whether to do it even in the first place, and everything that goes into sending your body into a shock even if you make a transition too quickly. It's complex. There is no magic pill that makes the human body work. We are a machine that was made by random chance, and it takes a lot of fine-tuning to keep us running correctly. Please consult medical professionals. All right. Yunlo Wang. Anyway, invocation employed towards the conjuration of lust. Oh ho ho. Come forth, O great spawn of the abyss, and make thy presence manifest. I have set my thoughts upon the blazing pinnacle which glows with the chosen lust of the moments which increase and grows fervent in the turgid swell. Send forth that messenger of voluptuous delights, and let those obscene vistas of my dark desires take form in the future deeds and doings. Why can't you make, like, the invocation of lust sexy? I guess dark deeds and doings are sexy for some people, but I want something more romantic. Like, for me, if I were going to do an invocation of lust, which honestly I'm not interested in my life right now, I've got better things to do than fuck around, I've been through that already, then I'd want to make it more classy, you know? Anyway. From the sixth tower of Satan there shall come a sign which joineth with those salts within, and as such will move the body of flesh of my summoning. I have gathered forth my symbols, and prepare my garnishings of the is to be, and the image of my creation lurketh as something basilisk awaiting his release. As a seething basilisk awaiting his release. Not my best reading, honestly, but like I said, this is a little rushed. Normally I'd want to have a cup of tea instead of just drinking tea, and the fact. The vision shall become as reality, and through the nourishment of my sacrifice giveth, the angles of the first dimension shall become the substance of the third. Go into the void of night, the light of day, and pierce that mind that respondeth with thoughts, that leadeth to paths of lewd abandon. Now this is if you're a male practitioner. My rod is a thrust. The penetrating force of my venom shall shatter the sanctity of that mind, which is barren of lust, and as the seed falleth, so its vapors shall spread within that reeling brain, benumbing it to helpless according to my will. In the name of the great god Pan, may my secret thoughts be marshaled into the movements of the flesh of that which I desire. Shem-hem Farash, hail Satan! Oh, that's interesting. Shem-ham, that's, I believe, the biblical character, a couple of biblical characters, sons of Noah, which were sinners, I think sexual sins. And female, my loins are aflame. The dripping of the nectar from my eager cleft shall act as pollen to that slumbering brain, and the mind that feels not lust shall on a sudden reel with crazed impulse. And when my mighty surge is spent, new wanderings shall begin, and that flesh which I desire shall come to me. In the names of the great harlot of Babylon, and of Lilith, and of Hecate, may my lust be fulfilled. Shem-ham-farash, hail Satan! Now then, I'm against this kind of manipulation of people in the first place. If you have to put a spell on somebody like this to bring them in, although I don't know how much power this might have in terms of manifesting, like I said. A reasonable amount, probably. But if it were the case that you were actually forcing your feelings on somebody instead of allowing them to notice your qualities of their own merits and come to that conclusion for themselves, I deeply disagree. That's taking away their own free will and choice in this situation. And no. Like, is that what you want? Do you want the foundation of a relationship to be built on you having power over someone? If that's the case, then I wish you good luck getting rid of those thoughts. Those are not healthy thoughts. And, you know, even if you don't want a long relationship, if you just want some nice human meat to rub your body against, that should be something that both parties come to together. The spell that you should be casting is making yourself attractive to them. And what you want to sacrifice to be attractive to them is up to you, although people will always say it's better to be true to yourself. And I feel like that's better if you want an emotional, intellectual connection, because if you put yourself forward, like me dressing in black and all of that, then you can find who's more real. And if you want to call out to somebody else and you come to them in a respectful, gentlemanly fashion, then they're at fault for rejecting you on your appearance. And those who come to you are people who have a genuine interest in who you are. But if you just really, really want somebody's meat and you're willing to put your self-expression aside for some meat, all right, that's fine. I have complete respect for people who flip the pentacle in both directions. I think that having a flipped pentacle in the first place is silly. Like, I've actually thought about this a lot recently. Like I said before, I've had my time chasing after people's flesh, fucking around, I think I called it. That just hasn't been a priority for me for a long time. I mean, there was a period in 2 years where I was in love with somebody and I wasn't interested in anyone else sexually, or if I was, the thought of betraying them prevented me. But even now, like, there's so much that I want to do with my life that the thought of pursuing active sexual fulfillment doesn't sound fulfilling to me. And that, of course, brought on this whole crisis of what it means to be a man in the Western world in 2021, that, like, one of the few masculine qualities that I had going for me was that I am a slut. That's the thing. I'm not sure if I am a slut anymore. I mean, I still enjoy sex. I'm still all for sexual positivity, body positivity, all the rest. And to all of those people out there who are sluts, I say, go for it. The world is yours. It's just not something I'm into anymore, which I guess is just another part of sex positivity. It's being positive about people who aren't interested in sex. Yeah, ups and downs. Invocation employed towards the conjuration of destruction. You know, I might actually do this one for real. I don't like, well, no. I am not fond of commodification in general. But commodification of food, commodification of people and animals, experiences, like, putting ownership over anything disturbs me greatly. But that aside, there is a certain conglomerate that I'm interested in destroying for the benefit of all those involved. And I'm whipping up a plan to ensure that. So, hey, why not throw a conjuration in the midst as well? All right, let me put some power into this one. Behold, the mighty voices of my vengeance smash the stillness of the air and stand as monoliths of wrath upon a plain of writhing serpents. I am become as a monstrous machine of annihilation to the festering fragments of the body, and he who would detain me, it repenteth me most, that my summons doth ride upon the blasting winds which multiply the sting of my bitterness. And a great black slimy shape shall rise from blackish pits, and vomit forth their pustulence unto his puny brain. So this is clearly meant towards an individual, but I'm talking about an event. I guess this event can be a he for the time being. I call upon the messengers of doom to slash with grim delight this victim I have chosen. Silent is that voiceless bird that feeds upon the brain pulp of him who hath tormented me, and the agony of the is to be shall sustain itself in shrieks of pain, only to serve as signals of warning to those who would resent my being. Oh, come forth in the name of Abaddon to destroy him whose name I have giveth as a sign. O great brothers of the night, thou who makest my place of comfort, who rideth upon the hot winds of hell, who dwelleth in the devil's fane, move and appear, present yourselves to him who sustaineth the rottenness of the mind that moves the gibbering mouth, that mocks the just and strong. Rend that gaggling tongue close to his throat, O Kali, pierce his lungs with the stings of scorpions. O Sekhmet, plunge his substance into the dismal void. O mighty Dagon, I thrust aloft the bifid barb of hell, and on its tines resplendently impaled my sacrifice through vengeance tests. Shemhamphorash, hail Satan! Think that was enough power? I don't think that I have hatred of the event. I talked previously how I don't think that I have hatred anymore, that I'm just not capable of it. Like, I have to try very hard to hate. Oh, that's an idea. That's the thing. Like, I've gotten more control over, like, delusion or not, literally, like, altering my thought process, like, becoming someone else. I can allow a being that is a hateful being to enter my body and then channel their hate. That's an idea. Yep, it works. And be gone. All right, that's good to know. Now I can hate as need be. Although I still prefer not to. Invocation employed towards the conjuration of compassion. Oh, I know just who I'm going to dedicate this one to. With the anger of anguish and the wrath of the stifled, I pour forth my voices, wrapped in rolling thunder, that you may hear. O great lurkers in the darkness, O guardians of the way, O minions of the might of Thoth, move and appear, present yourselves to us in your benign power in behalf of one who believes and is stricken with torment. Isolate him in the bulwark of your protection, for he is undeserving of anguish and desires it not. Let that which bears against him be rendered powerless and devoid of substance. Interesting how he's used, like, him and her in parentheses for the last two invocations, but this time he's strictly speaking to male pronouns. But I guess at this point, you should get the picture that these are more guidelines that you can alter. Like, I want to curse a conglomeration. I want to curse a vibration more than I want to curse an individual. Anyway. Strengthen with fire the marrow of our friend and companion, our comrade of the left-handed path. Through the power of Satan, let the earth and its pleasures re-enter his being. Allow his vital salts to throw unhampered, for that he may savor the carnal nectars of his future desires. Strike dumb his adversary, formed or formless, that he may emerge joyful and strong from that which afflicts him. Allow no misfortune to allay his path, for he is of us, and therefore to be cherished. Restore him to power, to joy, to unending dominion over the reverses that have beset him. Build around and within him the exultant radiance that will herald his emergence from the stagnant morass which engulfs him. This we command in the name of Satan, whose mercies flourish and whose sustenance will prevail. As Satan reigns, so shall his own, whose name is as this sound. Paul is the vessel whose flesh is as earth, life everlasting, world without end. Shemhamphorash, hail Satan. And now we have the Enochian keys. And this is the bulk of what's left of the book. Like, look. This is the kind of, is the camera getting it? Yeah, this is the kind of page layout you can expect. And then half of it is in a different language. So this is all gonna go by in one video. I'm not even sure if we're gonna reach the 2 hours they normally are. And good thing too, because I ran low on tea. The Enochian language and the Enochian keys. The magical language used in satanic ritual. All right, now he's just undercutting what he said in the last paragraph. Now, to say that one language is more magical than another is to say that some noises are more magical than others, and that is untrue. There are noises that are more suited to certain emotional conjuring within the body to use magical language. But unless it's something that specifically triggers biology or some outer plane, which is once again untestable by modern means, no language is more magical than the other. What the use of this new language, more than anything else, I know I haven't even let him speak yet, I will though. The use of this magical language, more than anything else, is to create a vibe, an immaculate vibe onto which we can project more powerful words. And because this is a critical examination of the text, instead of examining the vibe, I'm going to be looking at the English portions so that we can actually examine these satanic ideas and ideals. Ooh. Speaking of tea and Satanism, I went to the other satanic temple. They say they're a religion, and they are legally a religion, but I feel like how to classify I classify religions differently, is all I'll say. And I have deep respect for those guys in terms of protecting religious freedoms across the United States, in terms of promoting scientific reasoning and literacy. It turns out I was in Salem with my friends who are subject to a lot of magical thinking, and turns out the Satanic Temple, the atheist one, not the Leviathan one, is right in there. And they have tea. And I bought tea and I gave a substantial tip just because I love what their organization does and stands for. And I say, keep going. Fight the good fight. I do not want to live in a theocracy. Freedom of religion, freedom of thought, freedom of scientific inquiry. And philosophical inquiry, for that matter. Is Enochian, a language thought to be older than Sanskrit, with a sound grammatical and syntactical basis. It resembles Arabic in some sounds and Hebrew and Latin in others. It first appears in print in 1659 in a biography of John Dee, the famous 16th century seer and court astrologer. Sounds like a very trustworthy individual. This work, by Merrick Casaubon, describes the occultist Dee's activities with his associate, Edward Kelly, in the art of scrying or crystal gazing. Instead of the usual crystal ball, Kelly, who was the gazer, had many-faceted trapezohedron. The angels, referred to in Kelly's first revelation of the Enochian keys, obtained through the windows of the crystal, are only angels because oculists, to this day, have lain ill with metaphysical constipation. Now, the crystal clears, and the angels are seen as angles, and the windows to the fourth dimension are thrown open, and to the frightened, the gates of hell. And I love that he says here that the gates of time and the gates of hell are interrelated. Hell is a type of vibration, is what I'll say. And daemons is what I call like the angel, gods and devils I've referred to. I call them all daemons, and they are, in the Jungian sense, archetypes of the universal mind that are all nodes of the universal mind working in tandem. Excuse me, and what was I saying? Yes. The hellish portion, it's a portion focused on individuation and destruction, but destruction is also creation, thus it is essential. Hell is a part of life, at least in the way that I'm describing it. Like, you can argue there's no universal mind, it's just that humans are incredibly social creatures and can respond to unconsciously to very minor social cues, and that the magnetic field which our body creates is the same as the magnetic field created by any other material body that has an electric current, and that changing your thought process and your muscular flow is not a way to manifest, I shouldn't say that, interfere with the spiritual world. All right, sure, those things are unproven. But just in terms of, on a philosophical standpoint, like the ship of Theseus, destruction is creation. I say that even if Theseus' ship weren't torn apart piece by piece and rebuilt, just the fact that things moved around it, the ship itself has changed. That all things are eternally dead and changing, because it has all come to pass. It is all one, always has been. And like I said before, the process of living our lives is the process of remembering our lives. What was the thing? It's not an important thing. Just that how we interact with the three planes that we can directly touch, and the fourth plane that we are very clearly scientifically moving through, and the fifth plane that most theoretical physicists agree must exist. The way that we do that is through perspective, through recognition, and that recognition itself is, in a way, it's its own vibration. I mean, I don't want to, there's no way, if you're listening to me at this point, then you've got to say, this person is so confused half the time they're talking about one of those crystal-obsessed conspiracy theorists who's all into the woo magic, and then half the time he's talking about theoretical physics and science and what is testable, and listening to people who have gone through academic procedure. And I can say that I believe that both of these things, no, I can't say a lot right now, but you know what? I'm going to trust that as somebody who's made it to the last part of this long-running series, you're going to have some kind of a good idea of what I'm all about here. Oh, also, I wish I had chalk. I brought my chalk board. I'm planning on getting some games of chess going on with my neighbor through this. Like walk through the hall, scrub, scratch our move on there, move on. Here we go. I've done a lot of research recently into the Enneagram, which in some ways is a bunch of woo nonsense about how people's spirits evolve and reincarnation through them and becoming the one mind and becoming and really realizing God becoming your truest self, and that it was revealed through angels and ancient traditions and la-di-da-di-da. But here it is, one depiction of it at least. I've drawn better, but they're not with me at the moment. Is this on camera? There we go. Enneagram, thing that is written in 9 parts, a nonagon. And it's so useful as a psychological therapeutic tool. There we go. I realize I've been talking into the mirror more than I've been talking into the phone. I should set the phone looking up at the mirror. It's just hard to do, though, if you're looking behind me. Now, it's a useful tool because it describes like fundamental fears and fundamental goals of different people and how to progress on that front. Now, here's something that one of the daemons told me, that you can try to make the universal mind in many ways. You can have the 12 parts based between the 4 quote-unquote parts of the mind, although it's spread everywhere in our neurology that Jung came up with. I myself uncovered something with quadrants that are vaguely related to unbecoming, unbecome, becoming, and become, and all of that, and where ego is located and all the rest. You can have the Enneagram, and there are others. You can have the flower of life. And what this daemon told me is that there is no way in the 3rd dimension to fully create the map of the universal mind because we have such a small portion of it. We can make models that reveal some truths here and there, but we're never going to have a perfect approximation of what it is. It's like drawing a sphere on a piece of paper, like perfectly shaded and everything. You just stand on the opposite side of it and it's wrecked. Or tilt the paper, or move the real world light source. It's just going to be a shadow and a proclamation of the true truth. And that's okay. Because if we are living primarily, I guess you could say we're being thrust through the 4th dimension. But primarily, we interact on a 3rd dimension basis. We are 3rd dimensional beings that happen to have an awareness of the 4th dimension, and we've barely gotten an awareness of the 5th dimension. But that aside, what's useful to us here is to learn and grow in the 3rd dimension as much as we can, and that will allow us to get better approximations, but knowing those things is for those life forms primarily. The daemon said that it was really cute and that she likes that we try so hard to go beyond our means, but it's impossible, and we just shouldn't worry about it. I mean, if it's what you want to do for fun, creating sacred geometry and mandalas and all the rest, go for it, absolutely. Shooting for the impossible is part of the human spirit, but remember that it is impossible, and unless it's something that you genuinely want to do for its own sake, I don't recommend it. Now, let's see if I can perhaps set my camera up like so, and then I would, oh no, that's not going to work. How about if I do this and that? I want to make sure I don't accidentally stop recording here. And then am I don't want to be visible. You're going to have a better look at my desk, probably. You need a little bit more height here. What can we do? There we go. I have a bit of a reputation as a MacGyver among people I don't know anymore. There we go. I've actually never seen any MacGyver films. Also, let me get my pal's sculpture here in the camera. Ooh, hot wax. Hot racks running down my leg. Hot racks ramming up my head. Hot wax coming under the sill. Hot wax hitting me for real. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Very nice band. I recommend them. No, not liking that. How about don't need this. I was holding the phone previously. I bring this candle further into view here. And then I move this one out of frame. That much color just messes around with things. There we go. There we go. Could be better. Alright, let's get there. That is good set design. Not great set design, but it works for our purposes. Like, part of me wants to keep fiddling around and making like a really pretty atmosphere here, but we've got to get this done. Sure, I'll throw the Enneagram in there for fun. Not a gun infinity opens the door. Not a gun infinity opens the door. Wait for the answer to open the door. Not a gun infinity opens the door. I have presented my translation of the following calls with an archaic but satanically correct unvarnishing of the translation employed by the Order of the Golden Dawn in the late 19th century. In Enochian, the meaning of the words, combined with the quality of the words, unite to create a pattern of sound which can cause tremendous reaction in the atmosphere. The barbaric tonal qualities of this language give it a truly magical effect which cannot be described. You know, it's a really good look to call older languages barbaric just because they're extinct or come from Arabic. But I know what he means, like the guttural, just foreign, I think. Although there are ways to sound foreign without relying on a greater range of throat movement. For many years, the Enochian keys, or calls, have been shrouded in secrecy. The few printings that have existed completely eliminate the correct wording, as the proper translation has been disguised through the use of euphemisms, and only designed to throw the inept magician and or would-be inquisitor off track, apocryphal as they have become, and who can tell what grim reality provokes the fantasy. The Enochian calls are the satanic pains of faith. Gonna have to look up that word. Dispensing with such once pragmatic whitewashing in terms such as holy and angelic, and arbitrarily chosen groups of numbers, the purpose of which were only to act as substitutes for blasphemous words, here, then, are the true Enochian calls, as received from an unknown hand. The unexpurgated version, translated by Anton LaVey. All right, before we get into the keys, I'm going to write down these things for me to look up later. And I guess we'll do a series retrospective. I've got a lot of books to read, and that I want to read, and a lot of research to do, a lot of learning to do. I mean, I said already that I'm kind of putting my carnal pleasures on the backbone because there's so much that I want to do in this life, and I'm kind of like done with sex at this point. But I'd like to continue sharing the knowledge that I've gained and how my worldview changes and evolves, regardless if anyone listens. I mean, hey, putting this on the background in a playlist at my funeral or something might be nice. I'm going to be doing book reviews because I can read a heck of a lot faster when I'm not pausing every 10 seconds to give my what for on what's going on. Let me just grab a pen here. pain. And what's the other word? Gosh, where is that other word? Unexpurgated. Well, from what I know, to purgate is to put forth, and then so expurgate would be to not be taken forth. Unexpurgated. So I guess this would just be, in Anton LaVey's opinion, saying that his version is the purer version. All right. How many keys are there? I think like 16? 19. Okay. This will go fast. All the keys are like a paragraph long. The first Enochian key represents an initial proclamation from Satan, stating the inception of the laws of temporal theologies. Stating the inception of the laws of temporal theologies and of the lasting power which resides in those bold enough to recognize the earthly beginnings and absolution. I'm skipping I'll do this one in Enochian just so you can get a general idea. I haven't practiced this and I haven't looked up how it actually sounds. But hey, it's all about the feeling anyway, so... Ol son of Varasajis goho iyad balakta ela nahasa selazod. Sobrazod ol rore ita nazo pesazad. Girei amel pereji. Das hoel ko kwa notoho zozim dezod. Od komeh mahe ta nobeloha zodien. Soba tahil ginonupe perereje aladi vas vorebes obelehe giresam. Kasaram orelaha sarapire das zodorenu sagi kab. Erem ayadanehe. Pilahe farezodem zodenarezoda adana gono vepe zodomeda poamal. Old bogira ai tapaipe paimol od voan. Zodaker eka od zodamaranu. Odo sisal ka. Zodorehe. Lepe zodoredoho nokomada hoathehe Satan. You can see that I went for more of a semi-Spanish pronunciation there. I'm far more familiar with French pronunciation, but like the whole thing about French is half the language is you have to read into the context. Well, I don't want to even say that. It's everything ends silently in French. Like, for example, Ol sonof vorashi gohu iad balata. Well, no, most of these words end in consonants, so I guess it wouldn't apply. The rest is going to be in English, though, so don't worry about that. I reign over thee, saith the Lord of the earth, in power exalted above and below, in whose hands the sun is a glittering sword, and the moon is a through-thrusting fire, who measureth your garments in the midst of my vestures, and trusseth you up as the palms of my hands, and brightened your vestments with infernal light. I made ye law to govern the holy ones, and delivered a rod with wisdom supreme. You lifted your voices and swore your allegiance to him that liveth triumphant, whose beginning is not, and nor end cannot be, which shineth as a flame in the midst of your palaces, and reigneth among you as the balance of life. Move, therefore, and appear. Open the mysteries of your creation. Be friendly unto me, for I am the same, the true worshipper of the highest and ineffable King of hell. Or it's more real to say that you are the King of hell. And, this got me thinking. I don't actually know what infernal means. I only ever heard it spoken in words to infernal fires or infernal light. Is it just another way of saying evil? I don't know what it means to be fernal, so I certainly don't know what it means to be infernal. That's an important word. I'm gonna write that down. Here we go. Infernal. It means to be covered in fur. The second key. In order to pay homage to the very lusts which sustain the continuance of life itself, the second Enochian key extends this recognition of our earthly heritage unto a talisman of power. Except for all of the life that doesn't have lusts. I mean, not everything reproduces sexually. Come on now. English. Can the wings of winds hear your voices of wonder? O you, the great spawn of the worms of the earth, whom the hellfire frames in the very depths of my jaws, whom I have prepared as cups for a wedding, or as flowers for regaling the chambers of lust. Stronger are your feet than the barren stone, mightier are your voices than the manifold winds. One moment, please. For you are become as a building, such as it not, save in the minds of the all-powerful manifestation of Satan. Arise, saith the first, move therefore unto his servants, show yourselves in power, and make me a strong seer of things, for I am of him that liveth forever. You may come in. You're on camera.
Hi, you little Satan worshiper.
Sure, I've made it clear that I'm not, but I'm having fun here. How are you? This is my roommate. Let's call her Smila.
Shmila.
I kind of like that name. It sounds like Italian and
I
cute.
won't have enough money for Salem. I only got $50 for the fucking
All right, well, it's
It was
gonna
supposed to be 15 an hour, right?
What, our job? Our job, you said you got 18 an hour.
15.
Oh,
I
so
had
you
18 the first.
So sanitation gets paid more. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm kind of hoping I don't get transferred at this point. I don't think I will. But it's fine. Like, I'll cover you. Like, I'm treating you to dinner, so you don't have to pay that back. And it's gonna be
What about the Airbnb or the hotel?
1/3 of the price, which is gonna be like $32, and you can get that to me like before the end of the year. And you said you have 50 on you right now.
I can, but I wanted to do the tattoo. That's why. And I was gonna use that, and I was gonna have my friend send me 30. But then eventually, after that, I gotta get another 30 to pay you back. Do you want me to do that, or do you want me to try to get it all in that one day? I can try my best to.
We can try your best, or we can just keep a tab open.
Alright.
Like, we're gonna know each other for a long time, so I'm not worried about things getting paid back immediately.
Alright.
Who knows? Maybe it'll be a gift.
Alright, buddy. Thank you.
Peace and love. You're welcome.
Love you.
Lovely, ain't she? Alright. The third key. The third Enochian key establishes the leadership of the earth upon the lands of those great satanic magicians, who throughout the successive ages have held dominion over the peoples of the world. Behold, saith Satan, I am a circle on whose hand stand the 12 kingdoms. 6 are the seats of the living breath, the rest are as sharp sickles, or horns of death. Therein the creatures of the earth are and are not, except in my own hands, which sleep and shall rise. In the first I made ye stewards, and placed ye in the 12 seats of government, giving unto every one of you power successfully over the 9 true ages of time, so that from the highest vessels in the corners of your governments you might work my power, pouring down the fires of life, and increase continually on the earth. Thus you are become the skirts of justice and truth. In Satan's name, rise up, show yourselves, behold, his mercies flourish, and his name is become mighty among us, in whom we say, move, ascend, apply yourselves unto us, as the partakers of his secret wisdom in your creation. You know, we've already established that Satan is the accuser, the one who stands opposed, and they're specifically using the word Satan here, the accuser. So that's got me thinking about the translation in one way, because right now it doesn't sound like he's accusing very much. I'm thinking, what if they've chosen Satan as just like a generic term for the ruler of the earth, and this is more of a Gnostic approach with what's their name? I want to say Ahura Mazda, but that's not right. Is that a car? An Ahura Mazda? You know what I'm talking about. The Lord of the Earth. Demiurge. Demiurgus. There we go. Secret wisdom and all the rest. You know, he said that this is a translation of an earlier work, and it really stole. There are elements of Leviathan Satanism in this, but it's definitely got its own theosophical edge to it that, you know, I like that, theosophist. It's got its own theosophical edge to it that I don't think that this is entirely a Leviathan satanic text that I'm reading right now. In the same way that he's collected a hodgepodge of deities from living and dead religions around the world into his cult thing. I'd like to look at the religious definition of what, not religious, the legal definition of what constitutes a religion, because honestly, I don't think that this qualified. That, in my mind, neither this nor the other satanic temple would qualify. I feel like in order to be a religion, you need to make some kind of unprovable statement, magical statement, in other words, unprovable statement about the about life after death. The fourth key. The fourth Enochian key refers to the cycling of the 9 ages of time. Nonagon Infinity opens the door. Nonagon Infinity opens the door. Wait for the answer to open the door. Nonagon Infinity opens the door. I mean, how lucky is it that I brought out the Enneagram, right? I have set my feet in the south, and have looked about me, saying, are not the thunders of increase those which reign in the second angle, under whom I have placed those whom none hath yet numbered but one, in whom the second beginnings of things are and wax strong, successfully adding the numbers of time, and their powers doth stand as the first age of the 9. Arise, you sons of pleasure, and visit the earth, for I am the Lord your God, which is and liveth forever. In the name of Satan, move, show yourselves as pleasant deliverers, that you may praise him among the sons of men. Here's what I'm thinking I'm going to do. I am going to get a different translation of the Enochian keys. Read that, compare, contrast. I'm going to really delve into the philosophy that this is presenting, because it's totally different. There's so many different angles, so many different angels that I guess Mr. D, Lord D, whatever you want to call him, that sorcerer, is bringing into this, that it kind of warrants its own philosophical examination, critical examination. But like I said, I'm not doing this live reading thing anymore. I'm committed to this because I started it, but after this it's going to be after the fact reviews, so that way I can bring you all of the things that I learned and how things can incorporate and change my opinions. The fifth Enochian key affirms the satanic placing of the traditional priests and wizards upon the earth for the purpose of misdirection. The mighty sounds have entered into the third angle, and are become as seedlings of folly, smiling with contempt upon the earth, and dwelling in the brightness of the heaven, as continual comforters to the destroyers of self, unto whom I have fastened the pillar of gladness, the lords of the righteous, and gave them the vessels to water the earth with her creatures. They are her brothers of the first and the second, and the beginning of their own siege, which are garnished with the myriad ever-burning lamps, whose numbers are as the first, the ends, and the contents of time. Therefore, come ye, and obey your creation.
Visit us in the peace and comfort. Conclude us receivers of your mysteries. For why? Our Lord and Master is the All One. The sixth Enochian key establishes the structure and form of that which has become the order of the trapezoid in the Church of Satan. A trapezoid is a four-sided shape. Does he even say hexagon in here? I love the number 6. It's my favorite number for forever. Well, not for forever, for a very long time. I'm not an Enneagram type, not an Enneagram type 6, but the 3-6-9 connection and the balancing between the 3 and the 9, and like 6 as a symbol of growth and power, like as a reflection in the same way that 3 is a recognition between 1 and 2, that 1 is a recognition of 0, and that 2 is a recognition in 1 is 0, and etc., etc. That's a thing to talk about in terms of numerology, that the base 10 system is something that we've arbitrarily, 10 digits, that we've arbitrarily decided on in the West, but the hexana or 6-based counting system, base 6 counting, is in a lot of ways more efficient. So you would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 20, etc., etc. Oh yeah, but what I was saying was, it doesn't matter whether or not you have a base 1 system, 1, which I guess would just be counting on ad infinitum, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, deci, doce, trece. I just switched to Spanish. I'm awful at Spanish. I'm awful at French too, but it's just weird that for some reason I'm going to Spanish in the present moment. I guess I work with a lot of Spanish-speaking folk, so it's ingrained itself into my subconscious. Who knows? But you could just go on forever, and let's see if I can't do Spanish. Fargi, morgi, largi, targi, fargi, narga, raka, halda, woopa doopa doo. I might as well just be reading Enochian at this point. The spirits of the fourth angle are 9, and mighty in the trapezoid, whom the first hath formed, a torment to the wretched, and a garland to the wicked, giving unto them fiery... I'm getting a call. I guess I'll answer it later. A torment to the wretched, and a garland to the wicked, giving unto them fiery darts to van the earth. The 9 continual workmen, whose courses visit the comfort of the earth, and are in government and continuance as the 2nd and 3rd. Therefore, hearken unto my voice. I have talked of you, and I move you in power and presence, whose works shall be a song of honor, a praise of your God and your creation. Something I'd like to learn. What does it mean to van? Although, if I had to guess, it would just be splitting the earth. The 7th Enochian key is used to invoke lust, pay homage to glamour, and rejoice in the delights of the flesh. Similar to the 2nd key, so 7 part 2 part 2. Which would be weird. You think that 2 part 2 would be 4. You know, like I said, I'd have to examine all of this with what I've read concerning numerology and you've noticed that I have very highly developed ontological ideas and metaphysical study of philosophy of being and non-being, that they're taking an interesting angle here. That's something that I'm saying that literally, and then I'm realizing it's a pun and winking post speech, but I gotta stop doing that because it's not really life is funny. Just a different angle to approach it from. It's Nonagon Infinity. The East is a house of harlots singing praises among the flames of the first glory, wherein the Dark Lord hath opened his mouth, and they are become as living dwellings, in whom the strength of man rejoiceth, and they are apparelled with ornaments of brightness, such as work wonders on all creatures, whose kingdoms and continuance are as the third and fourth, strong towers and places of comfort, the seats of pleasure and continuance. O ye servants of pleasure, move, appear, sing praises unto the earth, and mighty amongst us. For that to this remembrance is given power, and our strength waxeth strong in our comforter. Like waxing and waning. Waning is something that we say in modern parlance. But you'd think that, I know very well, candles get smaller. Unless they're talking about waxing as the process of something becoming waxed, like dipping it in wax and growing larger. But that's how the moon works. You know that what does kind of apply in a way, like the moon grows at the pace of being dunked in wax over and over again. Something else that I want to bring forth here, like so much of Anton LaVey's speaking here, which is self-contradictory, as I've pointed out many times, is that the strong are just and the weak are unjust, and that taking power over others is in itself a virtue, which I highly disagree with. But this is clearly, once again, displaying itself as a separate work, because it's talking about going forth and bringing pleasure to all people and learning to, I guess this is the satanic idea of being present in earthly affairs, but to give praise to power and to spread that to people who may not already have the power. It's about giving love to everyone. The 8th Enochian key refers to the emergence of the satanic age, the age of the accuser. The midday of the first is the third indulgence made of hyacinthine pillars, in whom the elders are become strong, which I have prepared for mine own justice, saith Satan, whose long continuance shall be as bucklers to the Leviathan. How many are there which remain in glory of the earth, which are and shall not see death until the house falls and the dragon doth sink? Rejoice! For the crowns of the temple and the robe of him that is, was, and shall be crowned are no longer divided. Come forth, appear, to the terror of the earth, and to the comfort of such as are prepared. Alright, so they are saying that some people aren't going to make it. Never mind. No, it's only the people who aren't going to accept. But they do say to try to spread the word. I don't like that, the evangelization. I say absolutely spread the truth, but to try force it on people. Then again, the truth is what is beneficial for us, and if it's not beneficial, then it's only not beneficial because we've decided that's what's not beneficial for us, or life is what's beneficial for the universe and us. But that aside, truth is what matters above all else, because truth is what decides emotions and morality and everything. Now, let's see. As bucklers, instead of a belt buckle, I'm pretty sure they're referring to the type of shields to keep the Leviathan at bay, the sea beast that's going to consume the kingdoms. But I don't understand that. That satanic justice is going to stop the crumbling of kingdoms, is how I read that. And that those who do crumble are those who do not find solace in satanic pleasure. I have to think about that. I'm going to reread all of this on my own time, which is a lot faster. The 9th key, here we go. The ninth Enochian key warns of the use of substances, devices, or pharmaceuticals which might lead to the delusion and subsequent enslavement of the master, a protection against false values. Alright, says the guy who used a crystal to get all these revelations. Like, using tools to get an advantage in any way is fine. It's only when, like they say, the tool becomes your master and not vice versa. I'm all for, no, I shouldn't say, I am all for mind-altering substances for the use of personal exploration, but not for, and medicine, of course, but not for recreation. Like, recreation has its own healing aspect to it, and like, how far do you take it? Everything that we consume is in some ways a drug that has a mental effect. I already told us about the gut health. But let's just go by the modern conventional conception of what is a drug. I feel like a lot of people are over-reliant on drugs to maintain their lives, and that they have to alter their minds instead of using this altered state to obtain truths and then bringing that back with them out of their altered state, which is the point. We're not supposed to live in a world that is not ours. I mean, that's the whole thing that the daemons were telling me, that you can go to a certain point to collect the greater truths, but at some point you need to focus on what you can do in your life for the beings that you can touch around you, for the world around you. And that's not to say, like, say the satanic elements over the beyond, or the beyond over satanic elements, or anything else. It's just, what's practical sense? We are pipes, and we as pipes shouldn't be used for the transportation of grain. We should be used for water and air. There are barrows out there, and barrows do what barrows do. Barrows understanding pipes can improve a barrow's ability to barrow, and pipes understanding barrows can improve a pipe's ability to pipe. But we are here to fill our role. And I'm not saying that in the limited sense of you're given a certain role. Well, in a way we are given a certain role to fulfill at birth. But that's not something to be enforced upon us by others. It's something that we naturally uncover in our lives, a process of self-discovery and learning that what we are, whether we are a failure, whether we are fools, whether we are the powerful or the meek, we are all an essential part of the body of God. Anyway, a mighty guard of fire with two-edged swords flaming, which contain the vials of delusion, whose wings are wormwood and the marrow of salt, have set their feet in the west, and are measured with their ministers. These gather up the moss of the earth, as the rich man doth his treasure. Cursed are they whose iniquities they are. In their eyes are millstones greater than the earth, and from their mouths run seas of blood. Their brains are covered with diamonds, and upon their heads are marble stones. Happy is he whom they frown not. For why? The Lord of righteousness rejoices in them. Come away and leave your vials, for the time is such as requireth comfort. He's basically saying, all right, the way I'm reading this is, heck yeah, now's the time to distort and dilute your mind and give in. Like, he's asking you to partake in the vials of delusion. Wormwood, I know it has some medical property, like it can be smoked. Well, anything could be smoked, really, to more or less effective. You can smoke rocks. And marrow of salt. I know I've read what that is somewhere. Anyway, but this reads to me as, yeah, heck yeah, like, tear apart your brain and replace it with gemstones, why the hell not? Which I don't like, but they're talking also about that the 9 ages are a cycle, and the way that this works is we've got 9, 2 nines, which is 18, and then we've got the 19th key, which I guess is the settlement of, yep, this is going to proceed ad nauseum. Like, that's the whole thing with numerology. It's just keeps going and going and going and going and going. A lot of people stop at 9, the 3 threes, but really, you can stop at 0. 0 is everything, is nothing, and recognizing that 0 is 0, and that recognizing is not recognizing because it never happened, but also always happened, it's all you need. It's not practical at all. We need numbers to function here in the 3rd dimension, but 0 is all you need for numerology. It's the only number that really exists, and even then doesn't exist because the void is void. Let's take a moment, you and I, and meditate on that. All of your hatreds are void. All of your loves are void. They're dead. The process of living and dying is void and dead. The seeking of pleasure, the wallowing of pain is void. 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 The movement of your body is void. The vibrations of the wind and your breath as it connects to the wind are swept together into a whole that is without beginning and without end because it is void. This thing that we call the void, that we label, the label of void is void, is void. You will never be able to touch. You will never be able to feel. You will never be able to think. This moment is death. This moment is a miracle of void. Be at peace in the void. Be at peace in yourself. Become whole and peace, and whole and peace with nothing at all. Proceeding! The 10th Enochian key creates rampant wrath and produces violence, dangerous to employ unless one has learnt to safeguard one's own immunity. A random lightning bolt. Oh, Anton, why can't you play it straight? This is supposed to be guide, come on. I guess this is his own critical commentary of the Enochian key. So I'll give him leeway. The thunders of wrath doth slumber in the north, in the likeness of an oak whose branches are dung-filled nests of lamentation and weeping laid up for the earth, which burn night and day and vomit out the heads of scorpions. and live sulfur mingled with poison. These be the thunders that in an instant roar with 100 mighty earthquakes, and 1,000 many surges, and a thousand as many surges, which rest not nor know any time here. One rock bringeth forth 1,000, and even as the heart of man doth his thoughts. Woe, woe, yea, woe be unto the earth, for her iniquity is, was, and shall be great. Come away, but not your mighty sounds. Oh, there we go, talking about what is, was, and will be, and won't be, and about the sounds, and all the rest. Also just living sulfur and vomiting the heads of scorpions. This is some powerful imagery. I hope that somebody's created a painting about this, or sculpture. You know, I feel like there's so many disparate images here that a collage would work. Even a sculpture collage, just throwing everything on a desk and then making that the art piece. People have to do that, right? That's got to be a thing. Almost the way that when you go to an altar and there are lots of sacrifices that have their own stories and personal values, but we'll never know, and it's just between them and their God, but what they leave on the altar remains, and it's this very unique mystique, this very unique pastiche of the things that you find on the altar. The 11th Enochian key is used to herald the coming of the dead and establish a sustenance beyond the grave, to bind the earth, a funerary call. Now, here's where I'm thinking. I'm making statements about an eternal soul, that every moment is eternal, and that us being thrust forward in the fourth dimension is really just an illusion based on our elementary material, that this moment is forever, that when your mind was in hell, it will remain there forevermore, because that's where you put yourself as a part of the universe. Now, that, I would say, is a religious claim, because it talks about life after death, even if it's not biological death. But that's me. I want to know the legal definition, because this doesn't make any claims about what happens after death. The mighty throne growled, and there were five thunders that flew into the east, and the eagle spake and cried aloud, "Come away from the house of death." And they gathered themselves together, and became those of whom it is measured, and they are the deathless ones, who ride the whirlwinds. Come away, for I have prepared a place for you. Move, therefore, and show yourselves. Unveil the mysteries of your creation. Be friendly unto me, for I am your God, the true worshipper of the flesh that liveth forever. Oh, no flesh lives forever. The 12th Enochian key is used to vent one's displeasure towards man's need for misery, and bring forth torment and conflict to the harbingers of woe. O ye that range in the south, and are the lanterns of sorrow, buckle your armor and visit us. Bring forth the legions of the army of hell, that the Lord of the abyss may be magnified, whose name amongst ye is wrath. Move, therefore, and appear. Open the mysteries of your creation. Be friendly to me, for I am the same, the true worshipper of the highest and ineffable King of hell. Oh, funny story. I had my first sleep paralysis experience, and just because of untestable magical thinking incoming, my experience with malignant spirits and interdimensional travelers in the past, I was able to subdue my shadow pursuer, which I found is just another type of interdimensional traveler. Those are more unwitting. There are dark hunters that go through the worlds seeking to destroy otherness. What happens with, in a lot of cases, or at least in my case, with these dark hunters, I don't want to call them that, these hungry spirits, was that I was myself going to a dead world and found them there, and that by providing them with love, I was able to take them into me and dissolve them piece by piece. But the presence of their hunger was in like that I was a foreign entity in their land, which might also apply to sleep paralysis, although the scientific explanation, which reigns above all else, is that it's because your mind is unable to fully make the connection to wake up your body, and therefore your mind creates a reason why you have this fear and projects it onto that. Like, that's why I say it's more like, and so I guess it's true in the way that you are the one that is summoning these hungry spirits that want otherness. Fear, like I've learned this from my own personal demonic mind, fear is on the demonic side of othering. And because these hungry spirits, they want to consume the other, they want to devour and make themselves stronger. In a way, it's a loving thing, but also it's a carnal lust kind of thing, which is odd to say for something that doesn't have flesh in a real way. The way to deal with them is to recognize your own hunger, your own desire for otherness, to assert your strength that you will consume, and that this thing, this dark spirit, is your brother. In a way that they test time and time again here. You are my brother. I will not consume you because we fight together. We will consume the other, but we are the same. Get into that mindset. There probably will be a conflict, depending where they come into you. But once they're into you, the love that you have for them, of the love of yourself, of the love for them, of the love of everything, the love of God, they will be purified in the love of God. And actually, from what I can tell, I got like a boost in my spiritual powers for a while, having consumed 3 dark spirits from the other world. I did say magical thinking. The 13th Enochian key is used to make the sterile lustful and the vex those who would deny the pleasures of sex. And like, this is a thing that I thought about a lot, I said already, but I'm not denying the pleasures of sex. I'm like, yeah, cool, just another time. I'm busy. O ye swords of the south, which have eyes to stir up the wrath of sin, making men drunken which are empty. Behold, the promise of Satan and his power, which is called amongst ye a bitter sting. Move and appear, unveil the mysteries of your creation. For I am the servant of the same, your God, the true worshipper of the highest and ineffable King of hell. The 14th Enochian key is a call for vengeance and the manifestation of justice. Very repetitive. At least his descriptions are very repetitive. Oh, that's Enochian. The 5th... Oh, I must have skipped it. This is a tiny one, apparently. O ye sons and daughters of mildewed minds, that sit in the judgment of the iniquities wrought upon me, behold the voice of Satan, the promise of him who is called amongst ye the accuser and the supreme tribune. Move therefore and appear, open the mysteries of your creation. Be friendly unto me, for I am the same, the true worshipper and the highest and ineffable King of hell. Okay, so we've moved past it. We've become more than just the worshipper. We ourselves have become Satan, because we are Satan. The 15th Enochian key is a resolution and of acceptance and understanding of the matters whose duty lies in administering to the seekers after spiritual gods. O thou, governor of the first flame, under whose wings are the spinners of cobwebs that weave the earth with dryness, that knowest the great name righteousness, and the seal of false honor, move therefore and appear, open the mysteries of your creation. Be friendly to me, for I am the same, the true worshipper of the highest and most of the highest and ineffable King of Hell. The 16th Enochian key gives recognition of the wondrous contrasts of the earth and of the sustenance of these dichotomies. O thou second flame, the house of justice, which has thy beginnings in glory, and shalt comfort the just, which walketh upon the earth with feet of fire, which understands and separates creatures, great art thou in the God of the stretched forth and conqueror. Move therefore and appear, open the mysteries of your creation. Be friendly to me, for I am the same, the true worshipper of the highest and ineffable King of Hell. Oh, I can feel my hoofed foot moving, earthing fire. I can feel my hoofed foot's earthing fire sprouts up from whence I'm pointing. I'm missing a line there. Faded every jewel, up upon the rock and metal, there's a horde inside this temple, worshipping their favorite devil, learn to make them cry. On the ceiling way up high, he is the bat with 16 eyes. He has a thirst to satisfy, a craving for your blood. Now here come the wolves with whips and 40 goats with pitchfork sticks. And look, there is a lunatic, he wants to make you cry. I'm the chieftain of your feelings, I'm the god of air you're breathing. You cannot escape my dealing, I will make you cry. Wah, 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 wah. That's King Gizzard, highly recommended. I can feel the earth is moving underneath my hoofed foot's earthing. That's the line that I was missing. Anyway. O thou second flame, the house of justice, with hast thy beginnings in the glory of salt. And glory shall comfort the just, which walketh upon the earth with feet of fire, which understands and separates creatures. Great art thou in the God of the stretched forth and conquer. Move therefore and appear. I did that whole thing. I thought I stopped midway. The 17th Enochian key is used to enlighten the benumbed and destroy through revelation. This is the big one, then. I mean, if that's what it's supposed to be, why couldn't this be number one, huh? I guess you need to prepare us for the revelation. Like, you can just say something outright, or you can properly explain it. O thou third flame, whose wings are thorns to stir up vexation, and who hast myriad living lamps going before thee, whose God is wrath and anger, gird up thy loins and hearken. Move, therefore, and appear, open the mysteries of your creation. Be friendly unto me, for I am the same, the true worshipper of the highest and ineffable King of Hell. The 18th. The 18th Enochian key opens the gates of hell and casts up Lucifer and his blessing. Nonagon Infinity opens the door. Nonagon Infinity opens the door. O thou mighty light and burning flame of comfort, that unveilest the glory of Satan to the center of the earth, in whom the great servants of truth have their abiding, that is called in thy kingdom strength through joy, and is not to be measured. Be thou a window of comfort unto me. Move therefore, and appear, open the mysteries of your creation. Be friendly unto me, for I am the same, the true worshipper of the highest and ineffable King of hell. The 19th Enochian key is the great sustainer of the natural balance of the earth, the law of thrift and the jungle. It lays bare all hypocrisy, and the sanctimonious shall become as slaves under it. It brings forth the greatest outpouring of wrath upon the miserable, and lays the foundation of success for the lover of life. This is the longest one by far, and you know what? I want to do this series justice. I'm going to try my hand at the Enochian reading for the last time. This time I'm going to try to make it a little bit less Spanish. I'm going to go for a lot of longer sounds. Madarariatza das parifa lil kahisa makilahosa sanari kalsogo od fifisa balzo dizo ladarasa iada nonuku golohime mikama adoyanu mada faodo beliorebe soba aoana kahisa lucifitius perepesol das abrasasa nono cafe netaibe kalsaji od tilabe adabahi het peta dame pelobozoda toota nonu cafe Jimmy kala kozomodoma la rasada tofi gilo marabe yarero idiogo ad torre zebadalupe yaudafe gohola kalsoga tadoreda sanir ad care hisotoesiosa to yore epuala tua bella. There I go doing Spanish again. I'm going to finish this sentence and move on because this honestly isn't impactful unless I practice it and pronounce it smoothly. Which maybe I could do in better lighting, but I really don't want to get out of this chair at the moment. Ad kahare tau te aseta, yora puala tua bella busadire, talabe nalanu pada orasaba, ad dodare mini zodayalona. And hopefully that was a complete thought. I'll do the last line, sure. Umela ad peradosare kakareji, auvai korema peta, tore zodu, zodoker ad zodomarenu, asapeta sibesi butamona das surezota tia balanmantu, odosiali ka, kos ozo dazo dama pelapadi, iadana manadana. No, let me say this last word right. Iad anamadam. Iadanamada. All right, iadanamada. Iadanamada. That's as good as you're gonna get. Now, English. O ye pleasures which dwell in the first air, ye are, this got torn, in the parts of the earth, and execute the judgment, also lost, I guess, unto the mighty, of the mighty, that's better. Unto you it is said, behold the face of Satan, the beginning of comfort, whose eyes are the brightness of the stars, which has provided for you the government of the earth and her unspeakable variety, furnishing you a power of understanding to dispose all things according to the providence of him that sitteth on the infernal throne, and rose up in a in beginning, saying, The earth, let her be governed by her parts, and let there be division in her. Let the glory of her be always drunken and vexed in itself. Her course, let it run with the fulfillment of lust, and as a handmaiden, let her serve them. One season, let it confound another, and let there be no creature upon or within her the same. All her numbers, let them differ in their qualities, and let there be no one creature equal with another. The reasonable creatures of the earth, and men, let them vex and weed out one another, and their dwelling places, let them forget their names. The work of man and his pomp, let them be defaced. His buildings, let them become caves for the beasts of the field. Confound her understanding with darkness. For why? It repenteth me that I have made man. One while let her be known, and another while a stranger, because she is the bed of a harlot, and the dwelling place of Lucifer the king. Open wide the gates of hell, the lower heavens beneath you, let them serve you. Govern those who govern, cast down such as fall. Bring forth those that increase, and destroy the rotten. No place let it remain in one number. Add and diminish until the stars be numbered. Arise, move, and appear before the covenant of his mouth, which he hath sworn unto in his justice. Open the mysteries of your creation, and make us partakers of the undefiled wisdom. Iadama nada, Iadanamada. There we go. And with that being said, there's going to be a retrospective after Halloween, but that is my complete critical analysis and reading of the Leviathan Satanic Bible for whatever hypothetical creature was present for this experiment. I hope you were entertained, or that this served some purpose to you. It served a purpose for me. It was a nice way to spend time and use my brain in a different way, in engaging with very different ideas that I've made clear I don't necessarily agree with, but it opens the door to different angles. Not a God Infinity opens the door. And on that note, peace, love, strength, and joy.